All right, everyone, as opening arguments begin the Senate trial against President Trump, a new poll has just come out showing that the Democrats in many respects have already lost. We're going to look at the latest Gallup poll and what it says about the failure of the Democrats and the mainstream Marxist media, and why not a single Republican senator is poised to convict President Trump. So stay tuned. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve here. Absolutely wonderful to be with you as always. This is, as you know, your daily white pill of encouragement as we celebrate the inevitable collapse of globalism and the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age. So if you haven't already done so, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. You're not going to want to miss a single video where we analyze current events in light of super awesome conservative trends so you can live in the present in light of even better things to come. It'll be an absolute privilege to have you as a regular part of this channel. Now, before we look at the embarrassment that this impeachment trial is becoming for the Democrats, let's give a huge shout out to the sponsor of this video, and that's our very good friends over at American Values Investments. Now, for over 15 years, American Values Investments has provided patriotic Americans the opportunity to invest in stocks of companies that they believe best embody America's founding values. Their stock portfolios, which are similar to mutual funds, allow investors to save for retirement while supporting companies that best reflect the values that most Americans cherish. Values like integrity, caring, and courage. Now, of course, there's risk in the stock market, and this ad does not constitute an endorsement. But if you want to learn how your investments can reflect timeless American values, well, then make sure you check them out at AmericanValues.com or click on the link below. You'll be glad you did. All right, so here's where we are as of today, with the Democrats' opening statements arguing on behalf of removing President Trump from office. There are two things that are converging here that promise to deliver President Trump a unanimous GOP vote of acquittal. The first involves the latest polls. Okay, now the polls that have been taken over the last few months have consistently shown a dramatic turn against the Democrats and against impeachment. The latest being the Gallup poll of over 1,000 voters that was just released on Monday. And what they found was a clear majority of Americans, 51% to 46%, do not want Trump removed from office. An astonishing 93% of Republicans are steadfastly against removing the president. Now, keep that number in mind as we go through this, okay? 93% of Republicans are opposed to removing President Trump, whereas 84% of Democrats want to get rid of him. So there's a near 10-point partisan differential in favor of keeping President Trump in office. So in other words, more Republicans want Trump to stay in office than Democrats want him to leave. And that's important because independents are more or less even on the question. The poll found 49% are in favor of removing Trump, 46% are opposed. Now, this Gallup poll, I think, has to be read, I believe, in light of previous polls that showed that independents, particularly in swing states, were opposed to impeachment by a factor of 3-1. So I'm not seeing anything that would have moved independents overwhelmingly to have basically flipped on that. So I'll reserve judgment on that one as well. But the fact that the overall survey found 51% in favor of Trump and 46% opposed, well, there's 2020 for you right there. I mean, in a nutshell, in terms of where we stand, that's where the election of 2020 stands, right? 51 to 46. And we're seeing that corroborated by the fact that impeachment has solidified Trump's support, not just in traditionally red states, but in the traditionally blue states that Trump won in 2016, Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Trump is polling solidly in those states, particularly Wisconsin and Iowa. And that, together with a stable overall approval ratings of between 45 to 50%, I mean, there's just really no question that we're seeing the manifestation of the cultural anthropological principle, external threats breed internal solidarity, right? External threats breed internal solidarity, which, make no mistake, is absolutely outraging the Marxist media. They literally don't know what they could possibly do. They've given 24/7 coverage on this entire impeachment circus, 90% negative coverage against President Trump, and still the majority of the country stands behind Trump. They're in total shell shock in all this. They can't believe it. Now, we, of course, can on this channel because we've often reported on how low the trust factor is for the mainstream Marxist media. We just loaded a video a few days back on how the media's trust factor today is down to 8%. You can check it out by clicking on the link. I'll link it down below for you as well in the pinned comment section for your reference. But over 90% of the nation distrusts the Marxist media in some way, shape, or form. And this corresponds with another poll on the trustworthiness of the mainstream Marxist media, the lack thereof. Perhaps the single most devastating poll was the one conducted by the Media Insight Project in partnership with the Associated Press. They found that only 6% of Americans have a lot of confidence in the media. I mean, you got to let that number hit you. 6%, all right? We're talking nearly 95% of the polled population being skeptical, at least to some degree, towards the corporatist globalist media. And this abysmal lack of trust has been happening now for 20 years. Virtually every major poll and study of the last 20 years indicate that the media's level of trustworthiness has been declining rapidly over that time period. I mean, there's really, they can't even go much lower than 6%. So what's the significance for Republicans in terms of such solid support, Republican support behind Trump? And that's the second development. And that's the aggressive maneuvering by Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, who we have to admit really is pretty stunning in terms of his procedural virtuosity. Certainly someone you want to have on your team, right? The Washington Examiner is reporting that Mitch McConnell is aggressively pushing for unity and grassroots loyalty to Trump behind the scenes. And with these polls, we're seeing the fruit of that. You perhaps heard that even Mitt Romney, never Trump or Mitt Romney, even he's coming out now and bashing Democrats. And he ended up voting to block Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer's attempt to do the job of the House Democrats and attempt to subpoena witnesses and White House documents. Well, sorry, Chucky. I mean, you had your chance in the House. And we should note that all 53 Republicans voted to shoot down Chuck Schumer's proposal to bend the rules of the trial in the Democrats' favor. And so what this is all suggesting at this point, and of course things are still early here, but at this point, it does look increasingly likely that President Trump will be acquitted by each and every single Republican in the Senate. Another way of putting it, there doesn't appear to be a single senator, and I'm including Collins from Maine and Murkowski from Alaska, Romney, Lamar Alexander, all these never-Trumpers. It doesn't look like a single one of them is prepared to cast a vote to remove President Trump, which means that this whole circus is over. And it was over before it even started. Remember, if all 47 Democrats vote to convict the president, which is itself not guaranteed given someone like Joe Machin's conservative state of West Virginia, I don't think his constituents are going to be very happy with him voting to remove the president that every single county in West Virginia voted for overwhelmingly in 2016 and plan to do so again in 2020. But even if every single Democrat senator voted to remove Trump, that would require 20 Republicans to vote to do the same. I mean, 20. It's just not happening, and this really was nothing more than a bunch of wasted time and money brought to you by the Democratic Party. And in the end, what did they get out of all of it? All they got was that Nancy Pelosi ended up strengthening Trump's support, all the while losing her own. A horrific political maneuver for sure. Now, before you go, we just uploaded a video that you're going to love. It contrasts Trump's astonishing optimistic message of economic growth and nationalist populism at the World Economic Forum in Davos with the whining and complaining and angry and bitter sentiments of Greta Thunberg. It's just too good. So make sure to click on the link and I'll see you over there. God bless.